So we have a few more minutes. I can sing and dance a few more minutes, and then we shall get started. But exactly, there we are. Let us back as well, right? I see quite a few who were with us before. I believe it is now past, so I shall get into my little introduction, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome to the second session of day 4 of International Coaching Week 2024. Our theme, being of service to build a heartfelt business. So I hope you very much enjoyed Laurie this morning. She was great. A reminder that the recordings are available on our social channels until the 27th, but you can also buy the whole package, including the offers and the bonuses, but more on that at the end. My name is Julie Kennedy, and I am very fortunate to be your host for the day today. Lots of great value that I learned through being here. So I hope you're ready to sit up, make notes, and make things happen in your business. Next in the hot seat, we have Deepal Sooriyaarachchi. Now, I really hope I didn't massacre that. If I did, my deepest apologies, Deepal. So welcome to you. Before we get into our topic, a reminder that the session will be a maximum of 1 hour, including 15 minutes Q&A at the end. The session is recorded, so please mute yourself, but keep your video on so the speaker can see that they're not just talking to a wall. And what you could do is also put your questions as we go along. If you have a burning question, put it in the chat box. Like that at the end, we know where to find them. So on to Deepal. Deepal is all about developing people and has an extremely impressive background in marketing, CSR, leadership, and has coached absolutely hundreds. He has also authored over 20 books, ranging from business to Buddhism. So I was going to say, wow, well, that's a really wide spectrum there. So well done on that. Now we have a great topic and one that affects all of us. Beat your success blockers. So hope you have your pens ready. And over to you, Deepal.
Thank you. And it's lovely to be with these amazing people. And a big thank you to IAP CIM for putting this ICW International Coaching Week and this great initiative. It's a wonderful thing that you're doing. And I have been enjoying all the sessions so far, which I could join. When we look back, most of us feel that we could have accomplished much more in life. There can be many external reasons sometimes, oh, I couldn't achieve because of this or that. But then you might want to think of people like Viktor Frankl, who completed his stay in a concentration camp and wrote the book, The Meaning, the Purpose of Life, or something like that.
Man's Search for Meaning, yeah.
Instead of thinking that there are external reasons, sometimes there are internal reasons why we fail to achieve things that we want to achieve. And I'm sure most of us have a lot of things to do in our bucket list pending. So what I'm going to do today is not to share a new theory, but my life experience and some insights I have gained. To start, let me take you to a time that is more than 40 years ago. That is when I failed my all 4 subjects at the advanced level exam, the exam that we had to take to get into the university. So I'm asking the question, why did I fail? Then for my luck, I came across a very powerful statement from Dhammapada, which goes something like this. Whatever an enemy would do to an enemy, a hater to one hated, worse than that is a harm that a poorly guided mind can do to itself. Similarly, whatever mother or father may do, better still, the good that a well-directed mind can do to yourself. This statement really led to an inner search, and I could find 5 reasons that are within me which prevented me succeeding at my exams. And I continued this search, and I could feel how these 5 blocks, not only studies, but even in professional life. And I could see how this influences or prevents even other people achieving what they set out to achieve. So in my life, I started as a clerk in a shop writing bills for $25 a month. That was in 1980. And at age 45, I became the CEO of Aviva Sri Lanka. And having retired at the age of 50, now I sit on more than 6 boards and do a lot of coaching and mentoring. And I tell I live full time and work part time. So let me visit with you today these 5 reasons which I have called the success blockers for easy understanding. And these are so common, hence the plethora of quick fixes in all areas of life, whether becoming slim, healthy, rich, or successful. Everyone wants something new. Something acts very fast, 6-week solutions, things like that. Why? Because of these 5 reasons. So because of these 5 reasons, there are a lot of business also to be taken. Right? What are these 5? First one is rumination or restlessness and worry. The second thing is aversion. The third one is procrastination. Fourth one is indulgence. And the fifth one is doubt. So what I'll do is create a little acronym to remember. This called RAPID. R for rumination, A for aversion, P for procrastination, I for indulgence, and D for doubt. So now I will take one by one and try to explain what I mean by them. Rumination or restlessness or worry. We know our future is created now. Although we spend a lot of our present either worrying about the past or being anxious about the future. In the past, we have things that we have done or not done. Future brings us uncertainties and challenges. And we spend a lot of time worrying about things about the past and being anxious about the future. The anxiousness for the future comes when we are faced with challenges. I would like to define a challenge as a situation when there is less resources than what you needed. For example, it can be time, it can be money, it can be knowledge, it can be people, it can be strength, whatever it is. When you feel that God is greater than you are, I feel small. Then my survival itself felt threatened. So then I feel small, and that's how the stress begins. So when I'm stressed out, of course, I cannot go forward. This ability to bring things from the past and project things into the future, I feel must be an evolutionary capability that we have acquired. And we are so good in creating these pictures, which I call directing our own movies. They are so good. And we, the audience, behave exactly the way the director wants. If it is a sorrowful story, we start crying. And if it is a horror story, we start getting really frightened, isn't it? Without realizing that these are my own creations. And this fear for future comes from thought, not necessarily from something. Like, for example, if you recall your visit to a dentist. And even before the drill of the dentist touches your tooth, your body is already contracted. Why? Because you are fearing the pain that is going to come. But animals don't have this capacity. They forget very easily. You have seen on Animal Planet, and sometimes you have seen in wildlife safaris, when a pack of deer is being attacked by a cheetah, it comes and probably kills one, and others run, and very soon they started grazing again without worrying about it. But we humans can't do that. So this is our ability. And as a result, what we do is we keep on thinking about the same thing over and over again, and we come back to the same point, which is rumination. And those of you who are in coaching, you find this is very common. So without realizing, we even form our own identity based on these things. Sometimes they become so real, and we identify ourselves with these fears or with those worries from the past. Now you can see this also has kind of different grades. It can be a little fear about being unable to go for a meeting, and you are stuck in traffic, a little bit of tension. At the same time, it can, at a very advanced level, can be chronic stress and worry that needs treatment. So your mind is like a pond that is disturbed by winds and you cannot see clearly. So when you can't see clearly, you cannot progress in life. So that is the first thing, rumination. Second is aversion. Our normal conditioning in life is we want more of things that we like, and we want to reject what we don't like. So this aversion also behaves on a continuum. At the very basic level, maybe you have already adjusted your seat, your position, because the previous posture was not so comfortable. And that's a very innocent level of aversion. And the same thing can be developed to a very powerful degree. Somebody can take his or her own life or kill another person. It's the same thought, this dislike or aversion. So when you keep feeding to this dislike business, you
Annual
can...
turnover. Annual turnover.
So getting annoyed is a punishment you give to yourself for stupidity of others or external situations. But it is something that you do to yourself. So then what happens is you become like a boiling pot. You obviously will lose focus, be constantly agitated, always see the negatives. Of course, you will become very unpopular. You get rejected from society. You become so unhappy with yourself. You have seen this kind of people. They are so angry all the time. They are unhappy. So when they are unhappy, they cannot be successful. They don't do what they have to do. Next one is procrastination. Procrastination is saying it can be done later, not now. It can be physical as well as mental. In this part of the world, there's a very interesting phrase which says, the lazy person has clairvoyance. He can think into the future and say, what will not happen? And he has very good reasons why something cannot be done. And you will always have reasons to postpone. And you listen to your mind when it says it cannot be done now. And it's like they say, like a slave, because slave can do only what the slave master tells. So when your mind is influenced by this procrastination mode or sloth and torpor of sluggishness of mind and body, you have no enthusiasm. when you have no enthusiasm, there's no energy to attract others. So you feed into this negative spiral of not being able to do anything. You will give any reason not to do things. You can say it's too cold, too hot, too late, too early, hungry, too full, whatever. Now we covered rumination, aversion, procrastination, and the next we come to indulgence. Indulgence is giving in to what our senses ask us to do. This is very easy to understand, but let's go a little bit deeper. This is not saying that we shouldn't enjoy things, but we should be careful when things we give in that can block our objectives, achieving our objectives. Let me give a reverse example to illustrate this. Once a very pretty model was interviewed on a TV program, and she was asked, among other questions, what is your favorite food? She said, I love ice cream. And the host obviously asked the next natural question, how often do you eat ice cream? Then she said, well, that was 16 years ago when I came into the industry. So what it says is, it's always related to what you want to achieve. Say, supposing somebody wants to be a good football player or a soccer player. To do that, you need probably to understand how the best people play, and then you keep watching videos and films on football matches. Then if you keep doing that, you can be probably an expert on the game and be a commentator, not a good player. Or if you think, okay, I have to build stamina, he goes to the gym every day and spends hours there, so he can have a very strong body, but not a good soccer player. Or he needs nutrition, so if he eats, and he obeys, you will not be a good soccer player. So you need to balance all these things, and you have to get all these three, plus get onto the field to play. So this is a good example of, how do you draw the line in this? Because this can be very innocent up to level of getting into addictions. So this is the important thing. It can be things to see, hear, anything, right? And you always think, okay, a little bit more, one more time, a little bit more, one more time. And then without realizing, one can get into the level of addictions. And this is where today some of these social media things and digital media things thrive on. It is this particular wanting to have more. So for example, while working on something, you get the urge to check your inbox. And while on a web search, something more interesting comes up and you forget what you started. And then at work life, we tend to favor sometimes people we like, because these biases also come because of this indulgence at a root level. And some managers, even after getting promotions, fail to transit from the previous position to the new position. They won't do what they were very good at doing it because they get a better satisfaction. And sex, alcohol, drugs, gambling, games, all these can be addictions. So as you can see, there's a simple pleasure, which is okay, and it can even develop into a level of addiction. People who like the smell of perfumes, but if you keep smelling it, you can get addicted, and then it can be a deadly addiction. So then your mind is like a pond or a water which is colored. You don't see the true things. So we covered rumination, aversion, procrastination, indulgence, and doubt. Doubt is obviously lack of self-confidence. And you need a lot of assurances. You cannot stay the full course when you have doubt. You change your strategy very quickly. And you try this method, you try another method, you keep changing. And not certain about the end, lack of clarity in what you do. So this is what happens when you have doubt. So this again has a continuum, right? There's a very innocent stage fright to chronic phobia. Now, if I relate this, how it manifested in my life as a student, I can recall how I avoided difficult subjects. That is because of aversion. And I couldn't focus on one subject. Right? You start studying on something, then you open another book, and do like that because you have worried about, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done that, rumination. And then procrastination. Oh, I had so many things that I postponed to be done later, right? And they never got done. And indulgence, yes, fortunately or unfortunately, we didn't have all the temptations that the kids of today have to deal with, but, films and movies, that kind of thing. And then all these things took away the things that I had to do. And when you do all that, you have no self-confidence. So it's formula for fail. So what do you do now when you have these things? Let me begin to share the slides so that you can see the summary. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So in summary, these are the 5 things: rumination, aversion, procrastination, indulgence, and doubt. So to summarize, we call it rapid. So how do you overcome them? I've put a few simple tips on how to manage this. Number one, a very simple one, is have a very powerful vision of what you want to achieve. Because when you are driven by a very powerful vision, a desire to achieve something, all these things get subsided that you have experienced sometimes in your own life and you have seen that happens. So creating a vision is very important. So visualizing your end game, end objective is a very powerful way of overcoming these 5 hindrances. In fact, you prevent them coming. Another simple method is making promises to people that matter. If it is a business, you can make a promise to your stakeholders. So you hold yourself accountable to deliver what you want to do. And I remember when I first published my book, that was in year 2000, I went and promised my mother I will launch the book on the 20th death anniversary of my father, so that I cannot go back on that promise. So that kind of a promise will also drive you to go beyond these limitations. But the core strategy of overcoming these hindrances is becoming mindful, to be aware. Once you become aware, this is what's happening in my mind. Oh, I am not doing what I'm supposed to do because I don't like it. There's aversion at play. Or I keep thinking about the same thing and I'm wasting my time. Then you become aware that I'm ruminating. Or when you know that it's a doubt that prevents me moving forward, you become aware. So that's a completely different topic, but when you are mindful, what you do is you learn to become aware of what's happening here and now without getting involved, looking at it objectively. So when you do that, you become a different person. Instead of saying, I'm lazy, you notice that you feel lazy. Two different things. When you say I'm lazy, you have already given in to laziness. But when you say I feel lazy, you choose to do something about it. Right? You can either give in or you can do something to overcome. So mindfulness is very important to become aware what is in play, what is at play at this moment of time. When you become aware, you can recommit and restart. It's okay to restart because you realize, it's like a course correction, like a flight, you do corrections. You can always do that. To do that, of course, you should know that you are away from your target. And finally, have very positive associations. That is very important. Now, my definition of associations is not necessarily spending time together. It is allowing somebody else's words, deeds, and thoughts to influence your words, deeds, and thoughts. You might recall during the time in the prison, Nelson Mandela said, whenever I wanted to give up, I read this poem called Invictus, where it says, I'm the master of my fate and I'm the captain of my soul. So it gave him inspiration. That is an example for association. Association can be a person, association can be a book, association can be a poem, a story, or even a picture. So it's very important to have something as an antidote to these 5 blocks. And finally, bringing it into a discipline activity. Whatever you need to do, get it into a discipline activity. Because when you discipline yourself to do it over and over again, then you build enough stamina to prevent getting blocked by these hindrances. So if you summarize all the whole point I'm trying to say today is there are these 5 factors which we can call success blockers, starting with rumination, aversion, procrastination, indulgence, and doubt. And to overcome, you have to be aware when they are present, create a very strong vision so that there's enormous amount of energy to move forward and put these things back, and then bring disciplined activities so that you can build that strength. And what we do now is there's a little survey or a poll that I have given some 10 questions or statements. And what you need to do is pick which one of those reasons you will attribute to those statements. Julie, can we have the poll running?
Yeah, Rhea, I think you're going to be able to launch the poll. We're just having it set up from our back end.
So you can have multiple choices. You can have more than one reason for each of these statements. There are 10, so you can choose, right? You might feel, for example, while doing something important, constantly check emails and other messages. So you can choose one or more. Okay. This one, which says aversion.
Are we seeing it yet?
I can see it in my, yes, somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep making your choices. That's not right or wrong, but it'll help you understand what I was trying to explain. Indulgence. Interesting. We have 10 statements to go through, so we'll give a few more seconds and then move to the next question.
Yeah,
I'm
I shall
leaving
let
your
you
hand.
run this because I can't actually see it. I'm not sure, maybe because I'm co-host, but as long as the rest of you are seeing it, that's all that matters.
All right, yeah. They're going right, yes.
Good.
Good.
I see Nadia seems to be struggling with it. I'm not sure why. Some of us can and some of us can't.
You can see some numbers changing, but the line doesn't change.
Okay. Maybe in the
Okay,
chat,
good.
can how many of you write if you can actually access it, just so that we have an idea? Yes. Okay.
I
Okay,
think it's
good.
working.
Yep. Okay, good. I see lots of yeses.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
We give a few more minutes so more people can.
Great. At least it keeps us on our toes.
And we have 9. We have 9.
You can only tick one answer per question. Is that right, Deepal?
You can pick more than one. In fact, there are more than one reason for
The
some.
poll won't let you. If you tick a second one, it takes the first one away. So the poll only lets you give one answer per question.
Seems to be like a little technical issue there, Deepal, that you can only put in one answer.
Right, okay, we'll see that. Right. Okay. You
Okay.
choose what you think is the most appropriate one, and then we will see others will pick different ones. So
It makes us take choices really to decide what's the most important out of there. Yes, I guess technique isn't always great, but considering that Deepal is in Sri Lanka and we're all over the world, I'm glad that at least it's working for some of you.
yeah. Okay.
I see somebody has a hand raised. Yes, go ahead. Oh, I thought I saw a hand raised, or maybe it was just a false movement.
I think 52% of the participants have taken part. Shall we end the poll and see what happens?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Share results. Okay. Right. You can see that people have, different people have, or the same person has given more than one reason for these statements. Okay, the whole purpose of this exercise is to illustrate that these 5 hindrances or the success blockers do not operate in isolation. When you go deeper, you will find that there are, like, for example, aversion can feed into the procrastination also, because you don't like, therefore you don't do, and you agree not to do. And similarly, indulgence can take you away from something that you don't like and want to do something that you like. For example, a lot of managers in companies don't like to do the performance appraisals, and they wait till the last minute right? Because they like to have a good conversation, but not to give tough feedback. Because you don't like it, you want to do something else. Uh, and uh, and you can see some of these things feed into doubt because you are not very clear what you want to do, and you are so worried about things, and that make you less self-confidence. So it's interesting to see how these five work sometimes together, and sometimes some of these things are very clear, and you can see three powerful things have coming. One is like, the other one is dislike, that is aversion and indulgence. And sometimes doubt comes because when your mind is not very clear. So this is how this happens, and this is what I have discovered so far.
Deepal, just one
And-
question. I see some people, sorry for interrupting you. I see some people in the chat are asking if it was possible to actually see the poll results. Is it possible that the audience can also see the poll results?
Poll results. Oh, yes, right, okay. You can see, right, for example, while doing something important, constantly check emails and other messages. Many have said it is restlessness, worry, and rumination. Yeah, possible, because your mind is not focused. Aversion, maybe what you are doing, you are not interested, so therefore you find an excuse to go. And procrastination, yeah, maybe procrastination says, I will check your email, that's more important than this. And it could be indulgence also, because you get a little bit of dopamine dose by somebody saying hi to your post. Get easily agitated when things do not happen as planned. Yeah, that's, I think, obvious, mostly because it's aversion. And again, when you are ruminating, restless and worry also will create that. So it's not just one. Right? The point that I wanted to highlight is that it can be more than one reason. So, and before we get on to the Q&A, I promise that I will offer a copy of my book, Inward Bound for Mindful Living. If you are interested, drop me a mail. I can't send the whole book, but I will send a PDF version. That's good enough to read. Otherwise, posting is a problem. And to my email, deepalsmiles@gmail.com. And I have promised that I'll give 5 online sessions free on mindfulness, 5 consecutive days. So if you drop me a mail, subject as ICW, so that I know it's coming from one of us, and I will announce when I can do it, most probably in June. Depending on the crowd, I can decide what is the most appropriate time to do that. So once again, a quick summary. A lot of the time we make lofty goals and we make New Year resolutions, but sometimes we make the same resolution next year, because we have these 5 reasons which are within us in different degrees: rumination, restlessness and worry, aversion, procrastination, indulgence, and doubt. So to overcome them, very important, have a powerful vision, make commitments to people that you cannot withdraw, right? And have strong associations which inspires you, and develop mindfulness so you become aware when things are not moving in the same direction, and bring in discipline to whatever you want to do so that these things cannot easily derail. So the 3 core points of overcoming them is awareness, have a clear vision, and discipline. So then we realize it is not just one reason, right? These are interconnected and they feed into each other. So that's the talk. And
Thank you.
let's have any questions. If you have.
Right. Well, thank you very much, first of all, Deepal. That was a lot of wisdom. And I love the way you've taken and you used your own life story to bring it down into 5, distinct blockers and then the solutions, how we go about it. Thank you also for your 2 generous offers. So the PDF version of your book and the 5 free mindful sessions that you're offering. So make sure to have all got down his email address so that you can ask for those with the code ICW, International Coaching Week. So let's get to some questions. Oh, I see. We already have one here from, I think, Eva. Would you have a few tips on how to build our discipline? That's a good question, Eva. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. First thing I suggest is if you want to do anything.
Okay, I think that's gone.
Have a date and a time to do the first most important, smallest thing. For example, you want to get the habit or discipline of going for a walk every morning. So say, okay, when do you want to start? You will say this weekend. Now, this weekend is too big. Is it Saturday or Sunday? If it is Saturday, what time of Saturday? 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, what will you do? 6 o'clock, I will wear my walking shoes. Okay, that's the first step. Then your mind is trained to start doing that. Then keep to it until it becomes a habit. Don't give up halfway. That's why that great vision is important, so that you know that you have to keep doing it. Sometimes it takes a while. So they say 21 days. I think it is 21 days true, because initially there is inertia, and after that the body says, "Ah, that's not bad." Then after that it becomes part of your life. Then it becomes a discipline. So most difficult thing is taking that first step.
Very good point. Thank you. So it's being specific and practice, right? It's keeping at it. Okay, I see another message. Bridget says, great session. Thank you. Do you think Western business culture is becoming more open to using mindfulness in business?
Actually, I have been practicing mindfulness for the last so many years. I got exposed to mindfulness in the 1980s, so quite a long time ago. And at that time, you wouldn't even talk about mindfulness in business settings. You think that is completely different. But I think in the year, somewhere around year 2000, there was a lot of scientific research that went into mindfulness, and the West embraced mindfulness through the science lens. Although it is in the East, it is from the spiritual lens. And as a result, and when you take that, the connotations out, when you start practicing it, then you realize, my God, that's the most important capability that you need to develop. For example, as a seasoned corporate executive, I can tell you, if there was one reason for me to achieve what I have achieved in my corporate life, that is the practice of mindfulness. Because, today there's so much of demand on you, and mindfulness helps you to create that space needed. You sometimes, it says when you're a CEO, this moment you need to motivate somebody. Next moment, you have to meet an angry customer. Next moment, you have to get into a tough negotiations, completely different roles. So how do you play that? I think mindfulness helps you to keep calm and focus on the present moment.
Very true. And I think it's needed more than ever, right? In our very rapid and very busy world, that's how we come back to ourselves, right? There's a lot of compliments saying thank you here everywhere. Any more questions? Don't be shy, right? You can also unmute and ask directly. We're very lucky to have Deepal here. So I would say any questions, maybe while you're thinking of them, one question I would have then, Deepal, was, okay, so you used yourself as an example, right? As a student and all the blockages that you were having to not do what you want. What would you say was the biggest thing which made you literally set about this change and become aware of what was blocking you and what you could do to move forward?
First is realization, you know, and it was one of those, you know, how do you call it, like a wow moment. You know, I don't know how it happened. When this statement came, it's like a eureka moment. You know, when I thought about it, isn't this 5 is what, you know, and then when I go back and analyze, then I realize. So it always life, they say, no, first the test, then the lesson. So
yes, that is true. Thank you, Deepal. I see, and Therese has written, can a powerful vision cause us to over-refine our thinking?
Over-refine. I don't know what you mean by over-refining. What I mean by a clear vision is, you know, when you have a vision and a purpose together, your mind works at a different level. Then that mind focus is so strong, it can keep these 5 hindrances or the blockers subsided. That's what happened. Because when you don't listen to these messages, you think it has to be done now. When I think of Viktor Frankl, I mean, you know, we have never been in a situation like that. You are in a concentration camp, and everybody else is, you know, losing life and things like that. This guy is thinking about his pet project, you know, because he knew it would be so meaningful to the mankind. So that's what I mean by having a great vision.
It's a purpose in a way, then, isn't it? It's a meaning and a purpose, because I mean, the book you're referring to must be one of my all-time favorites, Man's Search for Meaning from Viktor Frankl. And it is about that meaning, that reason, right? He even manages to give some sense to all the horrors he's witnessing in that concentration camp. His meaning is he needs to survive so he can get out and he can talk about it. And he talked about all the different ways the people around him were reacting. I remember one example is they had understood the camp would be liberated on a certain day, and it wasn't. And so many inmates, they're not inmates, they were prisoners there. They died that night because their meaning, their purpose, their goal had gone. Does this help answer your question, Ain Therese? Because it's about, you mean about overthinking? Hopefully this answered your question. If not, do feel free to either come in or ask it. I see there's lots of things.
Just what I'm saying there is, thank you. Like, we all want to bring it, you know, we want to make a change, we want to make a difference, we want to get our message across, and we can get so wrapped up in that, you know, it can be all consuming, and that can be paralyzing. That's why I'm asking, you know, can we over refine our thinking around our vision and our purpose in life, so much so that we actually paralyze ourselves?
Thank you. Thank you for that interest. That is what I'd understood it as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think these are individual things. I feel that you listen to your inner voice, right? And I think that's the best guide. And when you are so clear, this is what I want to do, and when I see a bigger purpose and a picture, I think it becomes very clear. So I think it's that inner voice that will guide you. Yeah.
Thank you, Deepal. I see some nice recommendations also from Santosh, daily meditation morning and night, based on a Buddhist method. I'm a Buddhist myself, so I'm always happy to see that. Now, Kasun asks, in business, you get financial pressure, which might block you from continuing. How do you discipline yourself?
Yeah, business is all about finances, right? And the important thing is seeing finance problems as finance problems, right? Because,
meaning?
Meaning, if you do not distinguish your life from finances, however much you think it's going to affect, right? When you are an entrepreneur, sometimes there are days that you think, I wish tomorrow will not be here because there's so much of financial pressures. They have to meet so many obligations. But the moment you break that identification of your life with this financial problem, because financial problems are financial problems, those are not health problems. You see the difference, right? A health problem is a different problem. A financial problem is a financial problem. So when you moment you approach it that way, you will get different ideas how to solve the financial problem. But what happens is the finances can, I think we had a very interesting session about finances the day before, and it's that feeling that you create about finances which creates that limiting thing. So if you want to go beyond limiting, you have to say, okay, it's a financial problem. Then there must be logical, strategic options for that. But the moment you identify yourself with the problem, then you don't see opportunities.
I see what you mean. So the finance is one part of it, but that should not determine all the rest, all those other components that you talked about, and the vision and the energy and making it happen and all of that. Thank you for that, Deepal. Any more questions that we have for our wonderful speaker here? It's been a lot of information, so I do hope you're going to make use of your CPD pads and take the next 60 seconds or something to really write down what you've got out of it, because I find myself, especially in a week like this where we have 4 high caliber speakers a day, there's an awful lot of information. Okay, Trillian says, I realize that stress in professional life is different to that of your personal life, and many executives strive on this professional stress. This comes with passion for what you do. Any tips to continue the passion but try to reduce the stress?
I realize stress in professional life is different to that of their personal life, and many executives strive on this professional stress. Do any tips? I, of course, think there's only one life. There's no professional life and personal life. There's only one life. The moment you realize that these are different roles we play during the day, and you put things in perspective. There is this expression which says, I'm in trouble, or I'm in pain, versus I'm experiencing a difficulty, I'm experiencing pain. 2 different perspectives. So the moment you say I'm in, the pain is so big. I'm in trouble means the trouble is so big, I'm so small, and I'm a prisoner. The moment you say that, you have defined your perspective. But if you say, I'm experiencing difficulty, I see a difficulty, so then you have some leeway to do it.
Right.
So it's a bigger topic, but I hope I gave you the gist of what you're asking.
Yeah, so it's almost with detaching a little bit.
Perspective.
Yes.
You see different things. So I, of course, believe there is only one life. There is no personal life, professional life, social life. There's life. And we play different roles during the day. Next moment, when you get onto the car to drive, you become a driver. All these roles are irrelevant there. So that's my answer to the question.
A lot of wisdom there. I think we need to let all of this incubate a bit. Do we have a last question before we finish off for now? If not, I mean, I think we're all still digesting the huge amount of you've raised a lot of points there, which I think we all need, or I know I will need to digest. Santosh does ask, what will the effect of AI be on all of this?
It's too early to comment. I'm not an expert on AI, but I think what will happen is we might increase what we will do without spending our time, and hopefully use that time to discover ourselves more and find that peace, which is, I think, the purpose.
Gosh, there we are. That is our answer. I would say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Deepal. This has been very thought-provoking, very wise words. I, for one, am very much looking forward to getting hold of your book. So I thank you very much for having taken the time in the, with the whole idea of International Coaching Week and being, free content to stimulate, develop us, and show the power of our coaching. So thank you very much for having been part of this all the way from Sri Lanka. Thank you. Oops, I think somebody needs to be muted there. Thank you for all being here today. Thank you for committing to becoming better coaches, to developing yourselves also better. So thank you to everyone who's with us here. We are halfway through only today. Next up, we have Susie Cuthbertson at 2:30. So that's in 1 hour, elevating your coaching to new heights. So I would say do make a use of the next few minutes to write down in your CPD pads what you have got out of this session. Grab a drink, shake around, move around a little bit so that you can have a nice fresh head ready for Susie in less than 1 hour. And a reminder, as usual, of our package. For those of you who feel like they want to have access to the whole content and all the bonuses, etc., we are making a special offer for lifetime access to all the content over this week, including the transcripts, the audio downloads, the bonuses gifted by the speakers, etc. If you want to make use of it, you can see our website address under there. So I would say have a great break. Deepal, thank you again very, very much. There's lots of messages in the chat, and see you all in 1 hour. Bye-bye.